When the day first opens its eyes, before the world has chosen its pace, there is a brief and silent moment where the spirit stands at a crossroads. In that moment, most people hesitate. They listen to the softness of the bed, the weight of comfort, the whisper that says there is still time. But the disciplined do not bargain with the morning. They rise with intention, not because the body feels ready, but because the mind has already decided. The day does not begin when the sun appears. It begins the moment the will awakens and refuses to surrender to weakness. To wake with purpose is to declare to the self that the path ahead is not shaped by mood or convenience. The many wait for energy, motivation, or inspiration to arrive before they act. They hope to feel strong before they choose strength. But strength is not something that visits those who wait. It is built by those who move first. The act of rising, even when the body resists, trains the spirit to command rather than obey. Every morning becomes a test of allegiance, to discipline or to comfort. The one you choose in those first moments becomes the one you serve for the rest of the day. The warrior does not rise to chase pleasure or approval. The warrior rises to confront the self. The early hours strip away distraction, and in that silence there is no audience, no praise, no reward. There is only truth. If you choose hesitation, you strengthen hesitation. If you choose action, you strengthen action. This is the unseen shaping of character that separates the rare from the ordinary. The world will never witness these moments, yet they decide everything that later becomes visible. There will be mornings when the weight of exhaustion presses hard, when the mind argues, when the body aches as if every step forward is a burden. These are the mornings that define a person. Anyone can rise when life feels light and the path is easy. But when fatigue challenges resolve, when doubt stands in the doorway, when effort feels heavy, that is when the few step through anyway. Each time resistance is conquered, the mind becomes sharper, the will becomes steadier, and the spirit becomes harder to break. To wake with purpose is not simply to rise early, it is to rise aware. The first thoughts of the day shape the battles that follow. If the mind wakes in distraction, the day fractures quickly. If it wakes in discipline, the day aligns with intention. Breath becomes steady, thoughts become clear. The noise of the world arrives later, but it arrives to find a spirit already grounded, already steady, already prepared. In this way, the warrior does not react to the world, the warrior meets it already centered. The undisciplined drift from one impulse to another. They allow environment, emotion, and convenience to shape their direction. They speak of dreams but live as prisoners of habit. The disciplined live differently. They step into the day knowing that every action is a choice, and every choice strengthens either weakness or strength. To wake with purpose is to reject drifting. It is to take command of time rather than to be carried by it. The path requires sacrifice. Comfort will always offer an easier road, a softer feeling, a quieter effort. But what comfort gives in the moment, it takes back in the long run. It dulls awareness, weakens resolve, and hides potential beneath layers of delay. Purpose does the opposite. It cuts away what is unnecessary. It demands effort, but it returns power. It asks for commitment, but it gives clarity. It is not a path of ease, but it is a path of meaning. Each morning becomes a mirror. It shows whether you are ruled by desire or by discipline, whether you live for convenience or for growth. Those who rise with purpose do not ask whether the path will be difficult, they ask whether they will be worthy of walking it. They do not search for reasons to delay, they search for reasons to improve. And as this pattern repeats day after day, the gap widens between those who surrender to comfort and those who master themselves. To live this way is to accept that the true battle is not outside. It is not against opponents, circumstance, or fate. It is against the part of the self that seeks the easiest way forward, that hides from challenge, that craves relief instead of strength. When the day begins, that battle is already present. The question is not whether it exists, the question is whether you will win it. Wake with purpose, choose action before comfort. Let the mind lead and let the body follow. Refuse to negotiate with weakness, refuse to delay your own becoming, refuse to surrender the first and most important moment of the day. No mercy, no excuses. There is a moment in every struggle where the mind begins to search for an escape. It looks for reasons, for explanations, for stories that soften the weight of responsibility. It blames the situation, the people, the timing, the world itself. But the path of strength begins where those excuses end. To live with true discipline is to stand firmly in front of every outcome and say, "This is my doing, this is my lesson, this is my burden to carry and my weakness to overcome." The many avoid that truth because it is heavy, but the few accept it because it is the only doorway to mastery. When responsibility is absolute, nothing is pushed outward. Failures are not handed to fate, mistakes are not disguised by circumstances. The warrior does not ask who is at fault, the warrior asks what must be improved. Every shortcoming becomes a mirror that reflects the truth of one's preparation, effort, and awareness. This is not cruelty toward the self, it is devotion to growth. To protect one's pride is easy. To sacrifice pride for strength requires courage few possess. There are those who walk through life wrapped in stories they repeat to themselves. They explain why success has not come, why discipline feels difficult, why they could not do what needed to be done. Over time, these stories become chains. They weaken the spirit, they silence ambition, and they convince the mind that fate, not effort, decides the outcome. But fate does not swing the sword, and destiny does not rise in the morning to train. Only action does that. Only commitment gives shape to the path. To take total responsibility is to strip away illusions. It means admitting when effort was half-hearted, when attention was scattered, when fear guided decisions. It means accepting that the enemy outside is rarely as dangerous as the weakness within. Many fear this realization, but it is liberation disguised as burden. When you accept that your choices shape your reality, you also accept that your choices can reshape it. Power returns to the hands that once gave it away. There will be times when conditions are truly difficult, when the world is harsh, when obstacles rise high. The disciplined do not deny this, they simply refuse to stop at acknowledgement. Instead of saying, "This challenge is too great," they ask, "How must I evolve to overcome it?" Instead of saying, "The world is unfair," they say, "Then I will grow stronger than unfairness." This is not stubbornness, it is alignment with purpose. Life may not always give equal opportunities, but it always gives the chance to respond with strength. Blame offers comfort because it removes responsibility. It allows one to remain still while believing there was no choice. But stillness without purpose decays the spirit. The mind becomes dull, the resolve fades, and the heart grows distant from its own potential. Responsibility is sharper, it cuts through self-deception. It forces the spirit into confrontation with truth, and truth, though demanding, is the only foundation strong enough to build unbreakable character. There is discipline in silence, in the moments when no one else knows the truth of your effort except you. You know when you hesitated, you know when you avoided the difficult path, you know when fear spoke and you obeyed. The undisciplined hide from that knowledge, the disciplined walk toward it. They stand inside their own truth and use it as a blade to carve away weakness. This internal honesty is what makes the spirit unshakable. No enemy can expose what the warrior has already confronted within. Owning every outcome does not mean carrying guilt, it means carrying authority. It means saying, if I am responsible for my failures, then I am also responsible for my progress. Each decision becomes a step taken consciously, each effort becomes deliberate, and even mistakes become stepping stones toward greater awareness. Growth becomes inevitable when responsibility is constant. The world respects strength not because it is loud, but because it is consistent. The one who takes ownership remains steady through success and failure alike. Praise does not inflate the ego, and failure does not shatter the will. Both are simply information. Both are moments to evaluate, adjust, refine, and advance. The disciplined do not chase validation, they chase improvement. They do not cling to victory, they prepare for the next test. Excuses weaken the bond between intention and action. They create distance between who one is and who one claims to be. Responsibility closes that distance. It demands alignment. It demands integrity. It demands that words, effort, and purpose move together. This unity of self is what gives a person presence, a silent authority that does not need to be declared because it is lived. The path of responsibility is not a single decision. It is a continual returning to the truth, moment after moment, day after day. Each time the mind seeks to blame, it is redirected inward. Each time the spirit tries to retreat, it is called back to discipline. Over time, excuses lose their strength. They become quieter, weaker, less convincing. In their place grows resolve, steady, grounded, immovable. Those who choose this path do not see themselves as victims of circumstance. They see themselves as students of experience. Every hardship becomes instruction. Every failure becomes training. Every challenge becomes a test of character. And with each test passed, the inner command grows stronger until the warrior no longer wonders whether he can endure, he simply does. To live this way is to walk with clarity. There is no confusion about where responsibility lies. There is no scattering of blame. There is only acceptance, action, refinement, and forward motion. This is how the gap widens between those who surrender to excuses and those who rise through discipline. One remains trapped by stories, the other becomes author of his own strength. Own your path, own your failures, own your growth. Accept responsibility for everything that shapes your becoming and refuse to place your life in the hands of anything outside your control. No mercy, no excuses. When the world begins to stir and the noise of ambition rises, most people are already behind because they wake up reacting instead of creating. But the ones who move ahead, the ones who seem untouchable in their discipline and clarity, begin their day long before the first distraction arrives. The mind must be sharpened before the body begins its motion, because a dull mind turns every task into a burden, while a disciplined mind turns even struggle into purpose. The moment the eyes open, awareness must awaken with them. The breath becomes the anchor. The thoughts that rush in are observed, not followed. There is no room for wandering into yesterday's doubts or tomorrow's fears. The day is not granted as a gift of comfort, it is granted as a field of training, and only those who prepare their spirit before stepping into it can shape its outcome. From the first moment of waking, there is a choice, to drift with impulses or to command them. The world is full of men who are dragged by their desires, controlled by habits they never chose, prisoners of routines that weaken their will little by little. But the 1% who rise differently understand that discipline is not a restriction, it is freedom from weakness. The body wants ease, the mind wants indulgence, but the spirit must be strong enough to say no. The true battle is not fought with an enemy outside. It is fought against hesitation, laziness, confusion, ego, and fear. And this battle begins every morning before a single action is taken. To wake with discipline is to begin the day with intention rather than instinct. Instead of reaching for comfort, one reaches for alignment. Instead of drowning in thoughts, one sits with stillness. The mind is examined like a blade, checking for dullness, cracks, or imbalance. If emotions rise like waves, they are not suppressed but understood and allowed to pass. Calm is not the absence of struggle. Calm is mastery over reaction. When the inner world becomes steady, the outer world loses its power to disturb. There are those who say they will change one day, who promise themselves strength in some distant future, yet refuse to train their spirit today. Such people live in the fog of delay, unable to see that greatness is forged in the ordinary, unseen repetitions of daily discipline. The extraordinary is built on what others overlook. Rising early, embracing discomfort, controlling thought, and acting with intention, these are not dramatic acts, but they separate warriors from wanderers. Every morning becomes a declaration: I will not live by chance, I will live by choice. This way of waking teaches detachment from immediate pleasure. The bed whispers softness, the air holds weight, and the mind suggests excuses. But excuses are chains disguised as comfort. To cut through them requires clarity stronger than convenience. The one who trains the mind to move forward despite resistance strengthens the will like steel beaten in fire. Over time, action becomes natural and hesitation becomes foreign. The day bends to the will of the disciplined, while the undisciplined bend to the day. The mind must also be aligned with purpose. If one rises without knowing why they rise, the day dissolves into meaningless motion. Purpose directs energy like a blade guided toward its mark. Without direction, strength scatters. So upon waking, the spirit must remember its path not in grand declarations but in quiet conviction. What must be built today? What must be endured? What must be let go? These questions are not burdens, they are compasses. In these quiet early moments, awareness of mortality is also present. Time is limited, fragile, and indifferent. Each day may be the last opportunity to improve, to learn, to strengthen one's character. With that understanding, laziness becomes foolish, procrastination becomes dangerous, and discipline becomes a form of gratitude for existence itself. To waste the morning is to insult the gift of life. To discipline the morning is to honor it. Strength does not come from harshness toward oneself but from honesty. The disciplined awakening is not about forcing the body beyond reason but about refusing to lie to the self. If fear appears, it is acknowledged. If weakness reveals itself, it is studied. If doubt rises, it is faced. Through this process, the self becomes an ally rather than an opponent. The mind becomes a tool instead of a tyrant. And in this alignment, inner power begins to grow. This way of waking also creates emotional resilience. The world will bring chaos, unpredictability, and conflict. But if the spirit has already been anchored before the sun fully rises, no external disturbance can easily overthrow it. The disciplined mind does not chase every noise or react to every provocation. It acts only when action is necessary. It speaks only when words serve purpose. This control is not coldness, it is strength that protects clarity. As the day unfolds, habits formed in the first moments expand into every action. Movement becomes deliberate, effort becomes conscious, even fatigue becomes part of training. The body grows stronger, the spirit grows calmer, and the mind grows sharper. Over years, this becomes identity. Others may search for secrets, shortcuts, or tricks, but the truth remains simple. Mastery begins each morning in silence, intention, and unwavering discipline. The difference between the ordinary and the exceptional is invisible at first. It is found in choices made when no one is watching, in the discipline practiced before the world awakens. Those who rise with purpose do not seek admiration, they seek alignment with their path. They do not wake to prove themselves to others, they wake to refine themselves, and through this continual refinement they become unshakable. So when the day begins, do not ask for ease or comfort. Do not look for motivation to arrive from outside. Instead, command the mind, steady the breath, align the spirit, and walk forward with quiet resolve. For the one who conquers the morning conquers the self, and the one who conquers the self needs no other victory. When the mind seeks comfort, the spirit begins to decay. Discipline is not a choice reserved for moments of convenience. It is the constant companion of the warrior who refuses to drift into weakness. Each day begins before the world awakens, not because the body desires movement but because the will commands it. The path is long and the ground beneath the feet is often cold, yet the heart learns to walk without complaint. To sharpen the sword is to sharpen the self, and that sharpening comes through repetition, restraint, and the refusal to surrender to ease. The body obeys the mind only when the mind has first conquered itself, and this conquest is not won once, but again and again through the quiet trials of daily discipline. Those who wait for motivation are already defeated. The warrior does not wait to feel ready, he acts, and readiness forms within action itself. The world is filled with those who begin but do not persist, who burn with a brief flame and then collapse into comfort. Discipline is the separation between the few who rise and the many who retreat. The rhythm of effort becomes the rhythm of life. Wake, train, observe, refine, repeat. There is no dramatic noise in this process, no applause, no audience. The transformation happens in silence where no one is watching, where only the inner voice remains, and that voice must be brought under command. The mind will resist. It will whisper that the task can wait, that today is not the day, that rest is deserved before effort is earned. This voice is the true enemy. Battles on the field are brief compared to the lifelong conflict within one's own thoughts. To discipline the mind is to deny the soft invitation of excuses and replace them with decisive action. Focus becomes a blade that cuts away distraction. Desire becomes secondary to intention. Even the smallest choices, posture, breath, attention, become training. Nothing is casual for the one who seeks mastery. Every movement is deliberate, every moment a chance to strengthen the unseen core. Routine, when guided by purpose, becomes a fortress. Repetition does not weaken the spirit, it frees it. In learning the same motion 1,000 times, one does not become dull but precise. The mind ceases to wander because it finds meaning within effort itself. Many seek novelty to escape boredom, but the warrior seeks depth within the familiar. True discipline is not rigidness, it is alignment. It is the harmony of body and intention, where each action reflects a deeper commitment. The hand no longer argues with the mind, and the mind no longer argues with resolve. They move as one. Discipline also demands austerity. That which weakens the will must be removed. Excess food dulls sharpness, excessive talk scatters energy, excessive comfort weakens the spirit. The warrior does not require what does not serve the mission. Simplicity becomes strength. Each possession, each habit, each indulgence is examined. If it does not harden the character or sharpen awareness, it is cast aside. In this stripping away, the self becomes lighter, faster, more attentive. Clarity emerges when the unnecessary is abandoned. There are moments when fatigue becomes heavy and doubt creeps near. In such moments, the undisciplined seek relief, but the disciplined lean into effort. Pain becomes instruction. Discomfort becomes the gate through which only the determined can pass. The body protests, yet the spirit continues forward, and through this struggle, endurance is forged. The warrior does not chase an easier path, he becomes stronger so that no path appears impossible. Through repetition of hardship, the threshold of weakness dissolves. Discipline is not cruelty toward the self, it is loyalty to the highest version of oneself. To refuse discipline is to betray one's own potential. There is a future self waiting, sharper, calmer, unshakable, and discipline is the bridge that leads to that future. With each early morning, each tireless practice, each refusal to yield to laziness, that future steps closer, taking shape within the present. The body grows stronger, but more importantly, perception deepens. The world slows, obstacles reveal openings, and situations that once caused fear become manageable through calm preparation. Discipline also governs emotion. Anger, fear, excitement, pride all must obey intention. The undisciplined are ruled by emotion and become unpredictable, fragile, and easily provoked. The disciplined observe emotion without becoming its servant. In battle, as in life, clarity emerges from restraint. Reaction is replaced by response. Chaos becomes something one can walk through without losing balance. This steadiness is not born in great moments. It is born in daily exercises of control over impulse, thought, and desire. Even relationships are shaped by discipline. One chooses carefully whom to walk beside, for undisciplined company corrodes the spirit. The warrior surrounds himself with challenge, not comfort, with silence rather than noise, with those who move with purpose rather than those who drift. Discipline is contagious just as weakness is. Therefore, one must guard not only the mind but also the environment, ensuring that everything around strengthens rather than weakens the path. Over time, discipline becomes identity. It is no longer something one practices, it becomes what one is. The line between effort and nature disappears. Rising early is no longer a struggle, it is simply the rhythm of existence. Training is not a task, it is breath. Focus is not forced, it is the natural state. When discipline becomes instinct, the warrior moves freely, unconstrained by hesitation or doubt. This freedom is not given, it is earned through years of unwavering commitment. The path is narrow and few choose it, but those who do discover a power that does not flicker with circumstance. Storms may rise, losses may come, uncertainty may surround, yet the disciplined remain steady. Their foundation is built within, beyond the reach of chance or misfortune. Victory does not begin in the moment of confrontation, it is already decided in the days, months, and years of disciplined preparation that came before. There is no secret beyond this. No shortcut, no hidden technique, no mysterious gift. The difference between the ordinary and the exceptional lies in the willingness to live with discipline when no one demands it, to stand firm when comfort calls, to choose the harder path when the easier one lies open. This is the law of mastery, the code of resilience, the quiet engine of all greatness. Walk it without hesitation.